Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be showing you how I made this Dog Mom Collage Tumbler. I'm using a 20-ounce skinny camper mug from Craft Haven. So I sanded and painted my cup white, and I'm going to now glitter it using white glitter. I'm using white all over the cup because I'm going to use some water slides, and I used clear water slides, so I wanted the color to be as vibrant as possible. The first color I'm going to put down is Humble from Peachy Olive Glitters. I'm just putting this very lightly all over the cup. And next I'm taking Chunky Parabatai, also from Peachy Olive Glitters, and I'm going to do kind of the same thing. I'm just going to be a little bit more heavy-handed with this one, but I'm still not aiming for complete and total full coverage because I have two more glitters that I'm going to add later. So we're just still putting a very light coat. Next, I'm taking regular Parabatai, and I'm going to be a little bit more heavy-handed again. This is a finer cut of Chunky Parabatai, of course, so I'm going to pretty much go for full coverage on this. I have one more finer glitter I'm going to add after this one, but this is our main color, our big hitter, so I'm going to go all out and try to get as much coverage with this color as I can. The final color that we're going to be putting on this cup is Starlight from Peachy Olive Glitters. This is a pretty fine kind of white iridescent opal-y glitter, and I'm using this really to just fill in any bald spots that we might have on the cup that haven't been covered with glitter yet. I'm really just going all in with this color. I am covering and coating the entire cup, just really pretty heavy-handed. I want full coverage, so I'm just going for it. Now that our glitter is all applied, and because I use the epoxy method, I'm going to put on a fresh clean glove and go around the cup and just pat down any of the spots that might have glitter sticking up. I'm going to pay special attention to the handle because I don't want any pointy pieces of glitter or anything that's sharp that's going to stick out and require a lot of coats of epoxy or a lot of sanding. So I'm just going around patting anything down that's sticking up. You can also do this with a bare hand and parchment paper. I just like to go in with a glove finger. I feel like it's easier and quicker, but either way is totally fine. I let the glitter and epoxy dry for about 4 hours, and then I went in with my first coat of epoxy. I did not seal the glitter beforehand. I'm just going straight in with my KSRESIN Liquidy Split Epoxy, and I'm using about 30 milliliters on this cup. I'm going a little bit thicker with my coats because I don't want to sand and then have to do another coat because we're putting water slides on. So the 2 coats that I do before we put all of our water slides on will be pretty thick. I let that first coat dry for about 6 hours, and then I went straight into my second coat. For this coat, I'm using about 20 milliliters, so not as thick as the first coat, but I still used quite a bit because, again, I don't want to sand and then have to do another coat of epoxy so that I can apply my water slides. I let the second coat cure for a full 24 hours, and then I was ready for my decals and water slides. My cup is perfectly smooth. There aren't any lumps or bumps or anything that need to be sanded, which is just what I want. And I've got all different kinds of water slides, printable vinyl decals, regular permanent vinyl decals, and I'm going to just kind of take my main points and figure out how I'm going to arrange them onto the cup. I did have a plan in my head. I wanted to put this Dog Mom decal on one side and the Golden Retriever water slide on the other, but I ended up like completely deviating from that plan, as you'll see later. But what I'm going to do now is just take all of my little decals and kind of place them around and see what I'm going to end up using, where I'm going to place everything, and just kind of lay things out on the cup. I'm going to first start with my water slides. I'm going to get all of those put on the cup, and then I'm going to use my printable vinyl, and then finally all of my just regular like permanent vinyl that I cut out. The reason I'm doing my water slides first is because I use clear water slide. I want them to go directly onto that white glittered base to get the most vibrant color, and I also didn't want to layer clear water slide over a printable vinyl decal or a regular vinyl decal, because you'd be able to see through and it would just end up looking really weird. So I put all my water slides down first so they'd be on that glittered base and show up as much as possible. The first one I'm applying is this kind of dog bone digital paper that I had. I printed out just a little tiny square because my plan was to add this to the bottom, kind of how I am now, just to add a little bit of like background dimension and kind of build up the layers and dimension of the whole cup. I wish that I would have positioned this a little bit differently, but it still ended up looking pretty good. Next, I'm taking this super cute golden doodle image and I'm gonna put it down at the bottom of the tumbler right next to where I put that digital paper. I am making this cup for myself and I have 3 dogs, so I wanted to find images and things that looked like my dog. So this looks exactly like one of my dogs and I had to put it on there. It's so cute. And you'll see that around this time is when I start to deviate from my original plan. I would recommend, if you're going to make a collage cup like this, to size everything out on the cup you're going to use beforehand and make sure that the images you really want to use are going to fit. I did it the opposite way. I had all these images that I had wanted to use and just kind of had them ready to go and then decided to put them on a cup and do a collage. So I would do it the other way. I would know what cup you want to use and then pick your images and print them out according to the cup size. I wanted to do something to add a little bit more dimension, just like how I did on the bottom, but I didn't want to cut another water slide and waste a whole sheet of water slide. So I cut this pattern out of just like label paper that you would use for like a shipping label. And I decided to put it up at the top of the cup. I wish I would have used water slide looking back, because this became a really big, just like, not eyesore on the tumbler, but kind of. So I would recommend just using the water slide for any of these background dimensional patterns that you want to add. After that was applied, I put on the dog mom decal that I made to the other side of the tumbler because I knew that I wanted that on there, and I knew that the golden retriever that you can see on your screen was not going to fit because I arranged stuff really weird. So I kind of tried to make it fit, worked it around a little bit to see if there was anywhere I could put it, but it was just too big. It wasn't going to fit or work well. Because I put that printable vinyl down, I couldn't put the clear water slide over it. So again, just make sure that you know what images you want to use, the size of your cup, and plan all of that beforehand. Once I had all of my water slides applied, I went and grabbed all of the other decals I had collected for this cup. I have a lot of paw prints, my dog's names, a couple other kind of printable, just random images that I've collected over time. And I just kind of started applying them to the cup with no pattern, no plan, no rhyme, no reason. This is kind of the fun of collage cups. You just put stuff wherever you feel like you should put it, and it ends up looking pretty good. One thing I would recommend though is using a big variety of colors. I mean, based on the design that you're doing, of course, but I really stuck with gold and like this baby pink, which I love, but I wish that I would have incorporated some blues or teals or other colors to just add a little bit more dimension to those layers that I was adding, because it ended up looking just like a gold and pink collage cup, which is fine, but still, I wish I would have used different colors. I did not put all of my decals on at one time. I applied a pretty good amount in this first round, but I wanted to make sure that I was sealing my water slides and my printable vinyl before I continued on with transfer tape and all of that. So once I had a good amount of images on my cup, I wanted to seal them with Quick Coat from Counterculture DIY. And once that dried, usually about 30 minutes I let it dry, I applied a coat of epoxy. This was not a thick coat, but I did use enough to make sure that the whole surface would be smooth, and that if I placed another decal down on top of what I already had, that it wouldn't show any lines or bumps or edges from the previous decals. I let that coat cure for 24 hours, and then I was ready to add my second round of decals. The reason I wanted to seal in between layers is to avoid things like this. There was a bump in the glitter that I missed, and you can totally see it, but that area is totally smooth now, so I'm just going to cover it up with this paw print and no one's ever going to know. So during this stage, I took most of the little dog symbols, like this dog toy, the dog bones, my dog's names, and I just kind of arranged them however I saw fit. I just kind of worked them around and decided where I wanted to place them. There really was no pattern to it. I just put stuff where I thought it might look good, and I think it turned out really cute. But yeah, no rhyme or reason, just put things where you think they might work. After I placed all these decals, I let the cup sit for a few days and decided that I wanted to add a few more little printable designs. So I have some rainbows. That golden retriever picture I wanted to add before, I printed it out smaller. So I'm going to put them in these little white spots around the cup just to fill it in a little bit more. Obviously, these are not all dog-themed images, but I wanted to add them still to add a few little pops of color and to fill in those white spots to make it more collage-y. Once all of those were on, I went in with my final coats of epoxy. I ended up doing 3 coats of epoxy to make sure that everything was totally smooth. We have a lot of decals on this cup, so I wanted to make sure that it was a perfectly smooth glass-like surface. I might add more to this to make it more collage-y moving forward, but I do really like the final outcome now. I was a little bit unsure in the middle there, but it ended up turning out really, really cute. I am really excited to use this mug, and I'm glad that I have something with all my dogs' names on it and something that is very unique and one of a kind. I will probably do another collage video pretty soon. I want to try out some new techniques and see if I can improve. But hopefully you liked this one, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and that's all. Okay, bye.